What's up, guys? The very last Mission Impossible movie, The Final Reckoning, is out. Excited to review it, and a little story at the beginning. So let's go. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning stars Tom Cruise, Simon Pegg, Haley Atwell, and is directed by Christopher McCoy.
Our lives are the sum of our choices. This is your calling.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2025 review for the new Mission Impossible movie. Really excited to be reviewing it. I actually saw this at an advanced screening earlier this week. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. And I'll start you off with a quick little story because it's something that I've never, ever experienced. I posted a little blurb on my community page, and nobody guessed it either. This was strange, very, very strange. There was no power outage, which I've had that happen in the past, but I rarely ever leave the theater for anything, but this was a situation where I had to. And keep in mind, this was more of an instinctual type of thing, a primal type of thing. You could look at this situation from 10 different angles, and you might have handled it 10 different ways, okay? So I'm just gonna tell you what happened in real time, how I just decided to leave the theater, all right? Gonna try to make this real quick. We're sitting in the theater, watching the movie. Everything's fine, packed house, and this is a 3-hour movie. And so we get to about, I'm gonna guess 15 minutes left. It's the section where Tom Cruise is hanging from the airplane. Very exciting scene. This scene might have had something to do with what happened. So here's what happened. My wife is sitting next to me. There is a gentleman sitting next to my wife. He's quiet, acting like a normal moviegoer the entire movie. You know, it's 95% of the movie. Then my wife taps me on the arm, and she's looks like she's shaken up. She's really scared. She says, "I want to leave." And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" And so she says, "The gentleman next to me is shaking profusely." And it wasn't like a normal type, you know, just maybe your hands are shaking. No, his whole body, like, I can't show you, but like, just imagine your legs are literally like shaking like this, just like nonstop. His arms are just like, it was like he was revving up to do something. It was one of those type situations. It was very odd, very strange. I have never witnessed behavior like that. And, you know, I've been in a lot of horrible movie-going incidents where, you know, people using their phones, people talking. I've seen it all. I've never seen anything like this. And to that gentleman's credit or benefit, he might have been having some kind of medical issue. I don't know. But my wife was scared. And to give you a little bit of context as to where my wife's coming from, she works with patients that are, let's just say, mentally unstable, for lack of a better medical term. And she has seen, in her words, behavior like this gentleman was doing before a violent act happens, and multiple times. And so she was scared. She wanted to alert the manager, but she wanted to get out of the theater. You know, and I didn't want to make a scene or anything like that. So we quietly got up, walked, you know, past the gentleman out the theater. And I told my wife, "You just get your composure. I'm going to go talk to the manager." Told the manager what I saw. I said I didn't want to create any kind of scene or any kind of ruckus, but you guys might want to take a look at this. And we went on our way. But I think it's the times we live in today, and, you know, thinking back to 2012 when The Dark Knight Rises happened, and, you know, I don't know if I can even say this without YouTube, you know, censors or whatever getting me in trouble, but you all remember the incident that happened at The Dark Knight Rises midnight showing. And again, I've never experienced behavior like this before. And again, I'm not accusing that guy. Luckily, thankfully, nothing happened. Nobody was hurt. But we were, you know, my wife was scared. But we just wanted to get out of there. I wanted to protect my wife, was what it all boils down to. She didn't want to be in there. She felt unsafe. I had to get her. That was my main priority. Wasn't going to stop to think about the situation. I just wanted to get her out of there. So that's what I did. So I know I talked way too long about that story. I know a lot of you probably would have handled the situation 10 different ways. At the end of the day, I'm here talking to you. And luckily, nobody was hurt. And it's just weird. You never expect somebody to have a reaction like that in a movie theater. So that's the last I'm going to say about it. Now let's jump into the actual review for Mission Impossible, if you are still here. I'm not good at telling stories, by the way. So quick plot synopsis. If you've seen Dead Reckoning, which is at one time was Dead Reckoning Part 1. That movie, I think it's because it didn't do that well at the box office, so they just called it Dead Reckoning. This is the Final Reckoning, which I think was a good movie since this is the last movie. But, of course, we're continuing that story. It is the story of this entity. And I could go the route of getting all in the minutia, going deep, deep, deep in terms of the ins and outs of the plot. But at the end of the day, it's Ethan Hunt must save the world. And really, all of these movies are Ethan Hunt must save the world. In this case, the entity is AI, and the world is in danger. And this aligns with the world today because AI is a dangerous thing for sure, because we don't know where this technology is going to go, right? So I think this movie fits right in with that. And of course, like all Mission Impossible movies, they are exposition heavy. I saw some complaints about this movie being exposition heavy. Have you seen all of the previous Mission Impossible movies, all the way down to the first? They're all exposition heavy. It's a certain brand of action movie. You could call it the thinking man's action movie. And it's not going to be for everybody. You know, you could make the same complaint, give or take, about all the movies. And I will say, I think Mission Impossible Fallout is one of the greatest freaking action movies made in the last 20 years. I think that movie is absolutely amazing. Even having like Dark Knight vibes at times. It was on another level. This isn't as good as that. This is not, I don't even think it's nearly the best Mission Impossible movie, but I would say it's probably in like the top 4. Somewhere around there. And I gotta admit, being the last one and Tom Cruise really just giving all of himself, not to just this movie, but to the entire franchise, is inspiring. Watching him work, and I was literally just watching Ghost Protocol today, because I kind of want to go back and rewatch some of the movies after Part 3 that I don't remember as well. The stuff that guy puts himself through, you know, like the scene of him on the skyscraper in Dubai, one of the tallest buildings in the world, if not the tallest. It's insane what the guy does to give you entertainment. And that's what he does in this movie with the big moment of him being on the plane. And it's breathtaking stuff. But also he's able to weave a good story there so that way you feel the danger of, you know, the end of the world could be imminent if this guy doesn't save it. Now, the things I love about this movie, even though it does have a lot of exposition, I don't mind that stuff. I actually like when a story is being told to you. I know you should show, don't tell, but sometimes you should tell. I'm sorry. Maybe this does tell a little bit too much. I kind of just chew that stuff up. You know, I love good dialogue in a movie, especially a movie like this. It's just fun for me. Benji is a treasure. And I think he might be his best in this. Simon Pegg, the man plays that character unlike any other, and I think you could not cast any other actor as Benji. I think Simon Pegg, he just has such a unique signature to him, stamp to him, and that goes as far back as when he was in Ghost Protocol, and he's just so funny and charming, and he's the comic relief that this franchise needs. And this movie does have a lot of funny moments in it, really funny moments in it. I guess dipping over into the action, I think all the action's spaced out very well. I think you have big, epic action sequences, especially like the airplane scene, but also just claustrophobic type sequences where Ethan is trying to intercept a submarine and he's underwater, and just breathtaking stuff, and made for IMAX. And even there's another theater tech that it's like a wraparound technology. You guys will let me know in the comments, but I would have loved to have caught this in that format. They actually had that for Universal Studios for the Terminator 3D ride, and it was really cool. But then you have like simple hand-to-hand combat scenes, and I like the way that this movie handled that, because there's a big fight at the beginning of the movie between Ethan Hunt and these other guys, and you just hear the fight. You don't see the fight, you just see the reaction of Haley Atwell, her character. And it's hilarious. It's really, really funny. And he gets pretty violent too, actually. So you seeing the aftermath of it all, her reaction really sold it. There's also a lot of heartwarming moments in this movie, especially when you get into the final act. And you can kind of feel that coming, being that this is the last movie. even Tom Cruise stating to the audience, trust me one last time. It's like a character talking to other characters, but he's also talking to the audience, which is really cool and really just heartwarming. I like that Tom Cruise gives everyone a chance to shine in these Mission Impossible movies. Again, going back to pretty much all the movies. It's an ensemble piece, and he can't do it alone. You have to have the nerdy computer guy like Benji. You got to have the seductive, strong female character, and I mean that in a good way. I know in this day and age, you can't even say strong female in the same sentence without it being a bad thing. Not over on my channel, okay? When it's appropriate. It's just characters. You have bad characters and you have good characters. As far as like being fleshed out by a writer. Doesn't bother me, the gender. Also, I think they spend a little bit too much time kind of not just recapping the last movie, but recapping the entire franchise. But I found that stuff just really fun. Yeah, we can get annoyed by member berries for sure, but I think in this instance, being that it's the last movie, and it kind of really sets up who Ethan Hunt is as a character to those that might have not seen the last movies or just remembered the last movies, it's a nice thing. I do think they spend a little bit too much time on it though. But once this movie kicks into high gear, it never stops. I don't mind Gabriel as a character. I love Isai Morales, and if you guys have never seen Bad Boys with Sean Penn, not the Will Smith, Martin Lawrence Bad Boys, but the one directed by Rick Rosenthal, that movie is a freaking amazing prison movie, and it's downright terrifying. And Isai Morales is a great villain in that movie because he's a villain that you can kind of understand where he's coming from. I think he played the part really well in this movie. I don't think he's the best villain that the franchise has ever had, but I think this whole franchise is more about Ethan Hunt and his gang over the villains. I don't think any of the villains, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, stick out like say the Joker in The Dark Knight. It's not that type of franchise. But one thing I do love about this franchise is that everything that can go wrong for the protagonist does go wrong and then some. And that's in every movie. And that's part of the fun of these movies. And watching Benji have to tell everybody in a kind of a nonchalant way, oh, this probably isn't going to work out, but hey, good luck. So guys, I just had a freaking blast with this movie. It was so fun. And it made me want to go back and watch the other ones, which I've already started. And I'm going to watch all of them leading up to it. It's just a fun franchise. And it's tough saying goodbye to it. Would he ever come back and do another one? Maybe we'll see, because I think Tom Cruise really loves this franchise, and bravo to Tom Cruise. What a great entertainer. I think that's what they've asked him to try to step outside of the entertainment role and give his opinion on political things. He won't do it, and that's the way you handle it. You keep your mouth shut and you just stick to entertaining the audience, and he gets it better than most. So given this super high purchase worthy, yeah, it's flawed, but boy is it fun. And the 3 hours passes by pretty quick, or in my case, 2 hours and 50 minutes. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays, we do Free For Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums and on my social, support me on Patreon, become a channel member, buy me a coffee, and you guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.